자, when you guys hear about Pytorch, what does this remind you of? It literally reminds you of pie and torch. What do you think it means? 자, someone says Pytorch. 또 lit up pie. Oh, cause it literally is Pytorch. Okay. 자, what else? What else? Fire torch? 왜 fire torch예요? 자, so Pytorch is a open source machine learning library. 그 요즘 따라 machine learning library가 맞는 것 같아. So this is a machine learning library. The better TensorFlow. No, I can't write that because we have a person with an ID called TensorFlow. Based on Torch library. 그래서 so there is a library called Torch, used for applications such as computer vision and natural language processing, primarily developed by Facebook AI Research Lab. 그러니까 요 친구는 Facebook. 자, as you guys recall from TensorFlow, TensorFlow is made from Google, right? TensorFlow는 Google. So basically this means it's Facebook versus Google in machine learning. Right? I know what library is. Good for you. Perfect. 자, it is free and open source software released under the modified BSD license, although the Python interface is more polished and the primary although the Python interface is more polished and primary focus of development, Pytorch also has a C++ interface. As we learned, 이제 C++도 가능하다. 여러분, 이거는 C++ 발음이 it's not C++. It's C++. Okay? So number of 그치 눈꽃님도 C++이라 하죠? 역시 한국 사람들의 그거야. 자, a number of pieces of deep learning software are built on top of Pytorch, including Tesla Autopilot, Uber Pyro. What is Uber Pyro? Hugging Faces Transformers, Pytorch Lightning, and Catalyst. 자, the thing you guys know here is Tesla and the Uber uses Pytorch. So Pytorch provides two high-level features. Tensor computing with strong acceleration via graphics processing units. Deep neural network built on a type-based automatic differentiation system. 목이 너무 아파서 기침 나올 것 같았어. 섭하게 마셔야 섹시하죠. 자, the history. So Facebook operates both Pytorch and convolutional architecture for fast feature embedding. What is that? What is convolutional architecture for fast feature embedding, guys? But models defined by the two frameworks were mutually incompatible. The Open Neural Network Exchange project was created by Facebook and Microsoft in September 2017 for converting models between frameworks. Cafe 2 was merged into Pytorch at the end of 2018. So actually the open neural network exchange. Oh, dude, you know open neural network is actually ONNX. Was created by Facebook and Microsoft in 2017. So it's fairly new project language, right? So it's actually 4 years ago. 4년 전에 만들어졌네. 4 years ago. 그 다음에 Pytorch tensor, it defines a class called tensor. So TensorFlow is just the name TensorFlow, right? Because tensor means something else. So they have a class named Torch Tensor. Torch Tensor. To store and operate on homogeneous multi-dimensional rectangular arrays of numbers. Pytorch tensors are similar to NumPy arrays but can also... Sorry guys. Did something happen? I hear like that raid sound. Is this for school? No, it's for fun. Just to learn. Hopefully. 잠깐만, I want setup. Tensor are more like advanced version of matrices. Oh, I think so too. Hi, Loris. Just put... no, I need this. Oh, wait, that's not what I want. Sorry, guys. Oh, fudge, that is huge. Oh, there you go. 다음에 So modules. Do we need to know about modules? The term convolution refers to both the result function and to the process of computing it. So it has two meanings, guys, right? So that's all for history and the definition. We don't care about the modules that much, right? And it looks exactly like Python. Is Pytorch run by Python? 이쁜 걸 보면 짓는 개님 어서오세요. 레이드 해주세요, 여러분. So this is the language. 이렇게 생겼어요. 1도 모르겠죠? 나도 모르겠어요. So let's look into how it's being written. 자, 봅시다. Can this stop? Okay. So it imports Torch. 역시 이게 제일 필요. It's the same thing as TensorFlow. I think it imported TensorFlow. 그 다음에 D type torch.float. So you're floating something. 그 다음에 you call a device. So you use, this is how they use the CPU. 그 다음에 GPU는 쿠다 쓰고. 까수이님 어서오세요. And then they want to create a tensor and fill the tensor with random numbers. So they put a random number, have it equal to a certain number, and then you print it out. 그럼 here it says randn. So I'm guessing that's random number. Random number. using torch. torch를 하면은 무조건 tensor. So if I'm using torch, it creates a tensor. So anything torch dot something is creating tensor? Is that how you say it? So you say I'm creating tensor. 오씨 이상한데? 왜 이렇게 표현이 이상하지? Which is a high-end matrix. 그러네. Hi Typhon. Yeah. See, and then it creates into a 2x3 matrix using the device and the D type that was created. So using GPU and CPU. 그치? 아씨, 나 겁나 똑똑한 것 같은데 오늘 왜 이렇게 내가 잘 움직이지? 역시 사람은 자고 방송을 해야 돼. So it randomly created two different a matrix. 그러니까 제일 중요한 거는 tensor는 matrix다. Most important thing to know is that tensor equals matrix. Creation of tensor and filling it with random numbers. It's the same thing, right? Okay. 그 다음에 you can even multiply the two tensors together. How? So you have B. Print A times B. 그러니까 거의 그냥 matrix인데? Why? But it's what's the difference between tensor and matrix? Because it basically does the same function, no? It's dimensional array구나. Because normal array is only basically one line, right? It's like a list, right? But here it's like list, it's basically a chart, if you think about it. 그러면 my question, guys, is how does this relate to machine learning? So TensorFlow and Pytorch both uses tensors, right? They both uses tensor and machine learning. But we know that tensor is a multi-dimensional, I can't spell today, guys. Array. Yeah, so list of lists. So do you call them 3D tensors when it's 3 by 3? Now in English? 와, 진짜 어렵다. 진짜 나는 이걸 하는 사람 정말 똑똑한 것 같아. Machine learning depends on weight averages through virtual neurons. 그러니까 machine learning이 내 기억으로는 이랬거든요. So if I want to try to explain neural networks, which is no, I think tensor is a multi-dimensional data set, but my question is how do they use tensor to do machine learning? So basically neural networks. Because if you think the shallow version of neural networks is you basically find the right path to get to the result. 수였나? Was neural network. And there was multiple ways to do this. For example, there was a way where you look back to what you got and then try to solve the puzzle. I don't know, so neural network in the easy English version is very hard to explain, I think. But now to incorporate that with tensor, I think that's... Because of course I can just easily go, machine learning uses... Oh! That would be fun. Because I think machine learning just uses tensor, right? We can say machine learning uses type of tensor. But my question is how, right? How in English? Like, why does multi-dimensional arrays are needed to run machine learning? Is that English? Is that right way of explaining? Tensors are typically used for deep learning. Yes, I got that. Tensor describes the relationship between the neurons. So, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. So, each node has matrix. 노드 안에 matrix가 있다, right? And to move from a node to node, you will need to use tensor. Which website are we using to learn? Chat. I like it when chat talks about their knowledge to me and I gain their knowledge. So usually I go off like the basics using Wikipedia and then get correction by chat. So that's how I run this content. 어려운 얘기인 것 같긴 해. Maybe in an example of neural network composed of just one layer. Okay. Tensor needs a massive data set. But actually, machine learning itself needs massive data set. Machine learning is like the big thing, right? So, I just remember, like, if you wanted to do machine learning, you need a really big data set. And if you don't, it's kind of pointless. Or the result that you get can't be that correct. So. 진짜 어려운 얘기예요. 프로그래밍은 어려워. Tensor is just a convenient way of representing the neuron weights. Tensor makes sense. 3D object. The reason you use tensor is because you find the activation, you just multiply these matrix. Which is very fast to do on modern GPU. So, using tensors to multiply matrix is fast compared to other maps or dictionary. Tensor is better to use rather than arrays or matrix because it can represent data in more than 2 dimensions. Cause matrix is always 2D, array is 1D. But if you want to go 3D, 4D, 5D, blah blah, and on, then you use tensor. 맞지? Can you have a 3D? But you can have a 3D matrix, right? That's true, you can have a multi-dimensional array. I think the result of using tensor is that you can use Pytorch people write very fast CUDA kernels to do matrix multiplication. 그러니까 I think the most important thing is to fast results. 이게 제일 중요한 것 같아, right? If you study math, there's a difference between lower rank tensors and matrices or 3D matrices. But in practical terms, I think it's fine to think of one rank tensor as a vector. That's why when I took a machine learning class in programming, they were very focused on learning about matrix. Yeah, so it flows, right? Thanks for the side note. Read Sparta's side note, guys. Please do the raid too if you guys have a chance. You do that for your job? Oh, what's your job type on? Like a neural network of 2-layer K each with different numbers of neurons. TensorFlow is what occurs. So when they're interacting, they call it a flow between tensors. So it's TensorFlow! Now we understand why tensor has the name tensor. Get it? Oh, thank you, Jungle. Compiler for AI chips? Oh, what is AI chips do? Hi, Handle. 자, Pytorch conclusion is basically, I think just have to know that it's made from Facebook, right? And don't get confused with TensorFlow. And the fact that now we understand what tensor means and how it relates to Pytorch and machine learning, right? So that's the most important thing. So that's all for Pytorch. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop by my Discord, ask questions, because I won't be answering. Most of my programmers will be. So